This is everything you need to know about the Montgomery market.
Hi, it's Brandy and Mike with Build Collective, and this is the Montgomery Market Minute. We're going to break down everything you need to know about the Montgomery housing market.
It's our monthly podcast that we're going to break down kind of the Montgomery market. We talk about it on a daily, hourly basis. We figure we'd share with you guys kind of what's going on, what's the pulse of the market.
Well, yeah, I always hear people say, what's the state of the market? And they'll say, I get the typical response, oh, it's hot, it's crazy, it's a seller's market. Well, all those things are true, but we're going to tell you why they're true.
And what does that mean? What does that mean for you as a buyer or seller, right?
Right.
On
But
that kind of stuff.
Before we get into boring numbers, let's talk about the most interesting listings or houses on the market in Montgomery.
Yes, and for our first one, we're actually going to use two of our own. So this is a little bit biased, of course. So we obviously love our own listings and love our clients, of course. But on these, we wanted to pull out something that just really got started off with a kick. So one of our favorite sales that happened in January this year was a property on Ross that was a teardown lot. It's one of the most expensive teardowns that's been purchased in Montgomery and on one of the most desirable streets. We get on Ross, Campus, Todd, that little network seems to be one of the biggest pockets that people want to come to. So we want to kind of start it off with there. We're not going to name an address. If you go drive down Ross, you'll be able to see which one we're talking about. It was purchased by one of our builders, and they happen to have an awesome client that they're going to start building a house for hopefully very soon. But that's just one of the most interesting listings and interesting sales that came up. Started the end of last year, and then they closed obviously this January. So wanted to share that one with you guys first to get kicked off, because obviously Montgomery has teardowns, they have resales, they have everything in between.
So my favorite resale, and I am going to give an address, was 9915 Forest Glen. And here's what I loved about this property. So it was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath ranch. It had a newer furnace, air conditioning. It had some updates, but it still had a lot of things that could be done to make it your own. So I love that. I always call it a house with like some meat left on the bone. You know what I mean? Like you can do your own thing to it, and then you can put your investment in it and then make your investment work for you when it's time to sell it. And I love properties that have some work left to be done, whether it's a kitchen that you can refinish, something you can add to make it your own and make it special and increase the value.
Yeah, and get that sweat equity really right out of the bat, and you can put your investment, your touch onto it, which is nice. Because we go through so many houses, and it can be a challenge. You see things that are perfectly done, maybe almost your style, maybe not, on that front. So let's get to, we may call it the boring stuff, but it's not boring whatsoever. It's important. It's what we judge and base all our decisions off of.
And the number one factor that impacts any housing market is inventory, right? That's what determines what kind of market you're in. So January saw 20 new single-family homes come on the market in Montgomery. That was up from 17 the year before and over just 7 in December. 7 new listings in December, incredible. 20 in January. So the buyers are out there. The inventory's starting to pick up, but I mean, we've had buyers who have been looking all through the holidays just waiting for the right thing to come on the market.
Exactly. There's been pent-up demand from last year, so even December, people may not want to list their home in December and January because they think it's ugly outside or cold, when in reality, the buyers are out. They're ready to go, so spring is sprung definitely early on that front. So that's interesting that it's 20, and hopefully it continues to improve and increase over the course of the next couple months.
Right, and the second factor we like to look at is days on market. That's a number that's also dropped in Montgomery, 26% this January over the year before. So the average day on market now for single-family homes in Montgomery is 65, but I feel that doesn't really tell the full story. Because if we look at those 20 new listings that came on in January, by the end of the month, 9 of those were already under contract.
So
with an average of 6.5 days on the market. So really, those newer listings are selling very fast.
So it just shows that if your house is ready and you're pricing it correctly, they should go
priced
like
correctly
that.
means a lot.
I think that's the biggest key. And I'm going to throw a little nugget in there as we're still going through that. One of the most important things is people often think, because the market's so hot, price it high because then I can negotiate if I want to, and I'm going to get every dollar out of it. The opposite is true. Price it exactly in line with what the market dictates of what it should be sold. Then you can have multiple offers. You're going to have less time on market. It's really going to work better for you. There's been a whole lot of research and a whole lot of statistics that prove this concept and this strategy works.
Right.
So
and we can actually talk about average sales price, because this number is impressive when you look at January to January. But
we thought Brandy made this one
up. We talked about this. It can be skewed by what's on the market, but the average sales price in Montgomery is up 55%.
Yes.
over last January. So the average sale price for a single family home is now around $485 compared to $313 a year ago. But of course, that number really depends on the highs and lows of what's out there.
The outliers, essentially, yes. So obviously, when you look at the bulk of the market, it's still not being affected by that much. It's not, you're not up 55%. You're probably up a more modest amount. But the market in Montgomery is as strong as any market in Cincinnati right now.
It is, yeah. So I just like that number because it sounds so impressive, but really price per square footage is the better ranking of what's out there. Yeah, but
and that's
still.
And that's what goes into all these decisions. There's so many different metrics you have to understand, and that's why Brandy harnesses down and knows these numbers prior to even coming to any houses, just so she knows, okay, hey, what are the trends saying? Because the comps only tell one story, and then you have to look at what the trends are in the market going forward.
Right, and I can sum it up in actually just a few words.
Sure.
And my advice is list now.
Yes.
Sell faster, make more, and let us show you how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you guys for spending time with us. This was fun. We should say, too, a special thanks to Mannix Multimedia Productions. They are actually the ones that produce these videos and these podcasts for us, and they're also a Montgomery resident, which is super exciting. And then we should lastly talk about, we're pretty excited about a couple things. One is, I'm not sure if you guys saw the Business Courier article, but MPH Brewing, which we found out does not stand for Michael Patrick Hines, my name, but is actually Montgomery Public House, and that's opening up here in a few short months. And it'll have some German beers, and it's kind of
based on their European tours.
Yes. Yeah. They don't know we're talking about them right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're okay with that.
Over.
Yes, exactly. If you guys can, invite us to the soft opening whenever it happens, because we're literally walking distance, and I live almost walking distance from you guys as well.
And you have the right.
And Brandy can always sleep here if she needs to, if she can't make it back, or Uber and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we appreciate it. We're excited about Montgomery. We're right across from the Gateway Project. I'm sorry, the Quarter Project up here. So we're watching all that action happen there. So stay tuned for our next update, where we'll share even more information and kind of keep you in the know.
Right. Thanks.
Thanks, Brandy, for putting this together.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes. Bye, guys. Take care.